Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about why when something good comes up in the terms of relationship, when you finally find a good thing, why do you tend to destroy it? Why do we all tend to destroy it? What lies behind concerning the subconscious mind, the patterns, the behaviors, the hidden stuff that is going on that is actually making us sabotage the good thing, and how to avoid doing that. Once again, welcome back to the channel. I'm so happy that you're here, and we're gonna be getting right into it. Too good. Every single pattern, every single behavior has a reason, a deeper meaning behind of this. Nothing is random, nothing happens just like that. So everything that is happening in your life, every sort of behavior and pattern, there is a root cause that is causing you to react and act in a certain way. And now we're gonna be drawing my favorite figures to give you an overview of what's happening and why it even started. Why do we even deem something as too good, right? So let's say here's you, okay, reaching out to the other person. Here's the other person that you are in a relationship with, also reaching out. And here is something beautiful that is blooming between the two of you, okay? So like a beautiful flower, except this flower looks a bit disabled. So there is something happening. You meet someone, you get really good feeling, you get in a relationship with them, and then you start feeling like it's almost too good to be true, right? You feel like it's too good to be true, and that's why this shows up. And what's that? That's something that we know really well here if you're on the channel. It's the alarm. So the alarm sets off, and your nervous system basically starts alerting you that there is something dangerous happening. There is something unknown, unfamiliar. I'm looking for my colors. There is something dangerous. There is something that we are not familiar with, right? Our nervous system, let's make it clear here. Our nervous system starts sending this signal, setting off this alarm that something is too good to be true. And why is that? Because our nervous system has some sort of template, some sort of wiring, some sort of baseline that we are coming from. There is a certain baseline that we are used to. There is a certain baseline that we were brought up into. There is a certain baseline that our family, our caregivers, our childhood, they taught us that this is safe for us and this is known, this is familiar. But when something like this beautiful flower feels like too good to be true, the flower will be yellow. Something beautiful blooms between you two. And your nervous system, because it is not familiar to your nervous system, it deems it as unsafe, unfamiliar, okay? Unfamiliar, therefore so whenever you feel like someone or something is too good to be true, as we are talking now in a sense of relationships, you might have wirings and you might have beliefs about yourself that you are not deserving of this love, you are not deserving of this type of affection and validation and love. Therefore, anything that is outside of it is going to set off this alarm. We're going to be going deeper into that as of why it's happening and what it actually means. So let's remove it. The ceiling. Why is this happening in the first place? That this signal comes up. Like I said, our nervous system and our subconscious mind and our upbringing is going to give us a certain pattern and a certain blueprint that we received of what is familiar, what is safe, what is normal, and also what is our ceiling when it comes to love, relationship, human interactions, how we receive love, how we give love, all of that. We have certain ceiling where perhaps we have never been shown anything above and beyond or anything outside of it. That's why we're going to be capping ourselves, because we do not know anything outside of it. So anything that is above or beyond is going to be feeling very unfamiliar and very threatening in a way, okay? So now we want to draw this. So there is a jar. This is the jar, and this is the ceiling in that jar. So we are here. Let's say, okay, we are here. And then, like I said before, something starts blooming, you are getting in a relationship with someone, everything is going really nice, really good. And then you start thinking, wow, this is too good to be true. Perhaps this is too good to be true. Do I even deserve it? I don't deserve it, because this love is reaching the point where your ceiling is, okay? So this is the ceiling. This is the imaginary ceiling that we have when we are imagining ourselves and our capacity. This is our capacity of what we can receive, what we can give, what we accept, what we are willing to be open to when it comes to love and when it comes to relationships. And once you are reaching up and this love feels too good to be true, that means you are reaching the ceiling, the imaginary ceiling, but it is very real feeling. You feel like you cannot even go above or beyond, and that's when you start feeling like this relationship is too good to be true. You start questioning your deservingness. You start questioning if you're even worthy of that. You start questioning all of these things and all of these patterns, and unconsciously, subconsciously, you start sabotaging your own relationship because it feels too good to be true, because you don't know and your nervous system doesn't know how to deal with this, doesn't have the capacity yet. So the capacity to go above and beyond this, it is capped. Literally, it is capped, right? So thinking about that, you would need to open this jar, you would need to unscrew this top of the jar to be able to get this love outside or get above and beyond and be able to receive from this other person, because for sure they have a different wiring, they have a different blueprint, they have a different expectations, and they definitely have a different capacity of what they received when they were growing up, how their parents showed up for them, what they modeled to them, what blueprint they received, what's their capacity. So maybe their jar is much bigger than yours, and therefore they want to pour in more and more. They are overflowing, and all of that is coming and trying to reach your jar, but your jar is too small to receive that because your capacity is not stretched yet. So what we want to do is to build the capacity and stretch the capacity and expand the capacity, so you can actually receive that love, you can give that love, you can overflow to your partner, and you don't have to sabotage these things. You don't have to unconsciously, okay? Very important thing is happening unconsciously, subconsciously, of course, like we're always talking on this channel. You are not aware of that, right? It's not gonna be so straightforward, like, oh, so sorry, today I don't have the capacity to give you the love that you require or receive the love that you're giving me. Of course, it's not going to show up like that. It's going to show up in those small things where you are not understanding what's happening, because these patterns run in the subconscious mind and we are not conscious of them. For example, they would love to offer you some affection or anything like that, and your capacity is already full. You're not going to be understanding, okay, my capacity is full. You are going to be instead snatching on them or getting angry or looking for arguments just to protect yourself, because you are in this jar and you don't have capacity to accept more, right? So it's always going to show up in these little moments, day by day, behaviors and patterns. But beyond, this is what's playing out. Beyond, this is what's happening. You don't have the capacity to either give or receive the love that your partner is giving. It can be also, of course, other way around. If your jar is much bigger than their jar, then you're gonna be overflowing trying to reach them, but their jar is closed off and you cannot reach them. That's when they will try to pull away or run away or get cold, or any of those patterns and behaviors. Let's remove that as well. And now we want to be talking about how those patterns actually play out. So we're gonna draw a big heart in the middle here. And then we have two figures, of course. So it's you and your partner. Here's your partner, also reaching out. What we want to talk about on this slide is actually what happens, what ways, what patterns, what behaviors, what strategies that we most often use. One of them is we pull away. So we create a distance. Another one, we begin some sort of tests. Then the next one could be creating drama in the relationship where it's not necessary. So spiraling, 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 finding faults. So we are looking. This is how it's most common to sabotage the relationship, how we sabotage our own relationship when it feels too good to be true. And why do we do that? Why do we, for example, pull away? So if in your childhood you have been taught that love is not given freely, love is limited, or there is only a certain amount that you can get, when this person is gonna reach that level, of course, again, we are talking about the capacity now. Imagine the jar, we are reaching the capacity, the ceiling, cannot go above and beyond, then we pull away because we feel like we don't know how to deal with that. We don't know how to receive more. We don't know how to give more. So one of those things that we're going to do is to pull away. And it's a very natural and common thing that happens, right? Another thing what we can do is start testing the other person. If we were wired in our childhood that not all of us is welcome, not all of us is going to be celebrated and loved, not all of the parts are going to be celebrated and loved, we're going to start testing the other person and we're going to start pushing them to the point where they will prove themselves that they don't even want to be with us because we don't deserve them. So we're gonna unconsciously push them further away so we get the proof and the satisfaction. It sounds very bad, but we get that satisfaction to our subconscious mind that we are right, that this person is not right for us, that we need to test them and we need to find the answer that they are not right for us. So that's another thing that we're gonna do. Another thing that we're gonna do is also find faults. So if we are feeling unworthy of this person, subconsciously we feel like we don't deserve them, they are too good to be true, they are above our level, they are beyond our league, we're gonna start finding faults because subconsciously we are already expecting that they are gonna leave us. So instead of them leaving us, we want to find faults on them so we can leave them first and we can prove to our subconscious mind, yes, they are not right for us, they are not correct. So you don't have to hurt yourself by accepting the other person not feeling worthy of you when it comes to that, but you do it first. You do it first to show them and to prove to them that you actually are faulty. But the subconscious belief that is lying underneath is that I'm not worthy of you. That's why I am rejecting you. So I reject you before you have the chance to reject me. And then the last one, or the fourth one, there is so many more of them, but these are the most common. We're gonna start defaulting to creating drama and creating some chaos. So this could be very easily a childhood pattern that we learned that love comes with a lot of chaos. So love is not peaceful, love is not something that we can just relax and enjoy. We learn that love comes with some sort of drama, and we are always expecting the storm to happen, right? So when everything is going right, when something is too good to be true, we perceive it, and our subconscious mind perceives it as just the silence before the storm, right? And then the funny thing is that we actually create the storm ourselves. So if it's too good to be true, if it's too silent, and our subconscious is expecting the drama and the chaos and everything unfolding, we are the ones who are going to create that drama, who is going to create that storm, just because it feels familiar to us, and just because we need to prove to our subconscious mind that we are always right. So guys, you know, I always repeat that our subconscious mind is running 95% of our behavior. So 95%, we might write it here as well, so we remember that the subconscious mind is so powerful, and is very much in charge if you think about it. So whatever you received in your upbringing, in your childhood, in your blueprint, in your template, you're gonna be bringing it to your adult relationships. And if you haven't dealt with that, if you haven't looked at that, if you are still operating on those wirings, most of us were brought up in environments where things were very much swept under the carpet. And now I'm talking about myself personally. People were not really direct, or they were not really self-aware when it came to their patterns, and most of the things were pretty much swept under the carpet, considering their own behaviors and their own patterns, and people are always blaming the other person. You can learn more about that in the previous video where I'm talking about the shadow and going deeper into that. But that's basically the blueprint that most of us received. And what's happening now, we are repeating the same patterns. And I said it in the other video, and I'm going to always repeat that. No one is logically choosing that. No one is logically going to decide, oh, I would love to be the person who's gonna pull away. I would love to be the one who sabotages my relationship because it feels too good to be true. I would love to do that. I would just love to ruin that great thing that I got going on in my life. I would love to do that. No one is doing that, right? No one is doing that on purpose. We are doing it unconsciously, subconsciously. That's why that's the place where we need to be looking. That's the place where we need to be doing the work. Because if you don't do that work is gonna do you, and the work is gonna do you in a really dirty way, because it's gonna show up all these ways how you can sabotage a very good thing, right? And I believe many of you have been in that point and in that situation where you had a really good thing going, and you were so unaware of that in your patterns, in your subconscious beliefs, in your behaviors, and your wiring, that you ended up sabotaging the good thing. And then you became aware that it was too late, because that person already walked away, or their relationship was already ended, and there was no repair beyond that, because they perhaps already moved on or something happened. So that's why we're doing this work. We all have the choices, and we all have the options to decide what we want to do and how we want to navigate that. And I'm not saying this is gonna be perfectly clear once you do that work. There is always going to be something coming up and showing you still places where you are not free, but at least you will not be sabotaging the good thing. And that's the whole point of this video. We don't want to sabotage the good thing. We don't want to be capping our own capacity just because our nervous system is not used to that level. What we want to do is, one thing is to be aware of that, but then what we want to be working on is the expanding that capacity, so we can actually enjoy the good thing. The too good to be true thing can be truth for you. It doesn't have to be too good. You just have to rewire those patterns and those beliefs underneath. Now we are going further. Of course, guys, you knew that I'm going to take you through the childhood, because I always do that. And we're going to go back to the origin, okay? So the origin story. And for that, we're going to be drawing some house. So that's our childhood house where we grew up, basically. Whether that was a happy home or not so happy, that doesn't matter. This is our childhood home. This is us as a kid living in this house, very happy, maybe, or maybe not. Depends. And then this is the adult self. And this is the armor that we are now holding. So the origin story is whatever story you are carrying from your childhood, whatever story you are repeating in your adult life. And I know there is no such thing as, I don't know what story I'm having. I don't really have a story. But when you look at your relationship today in your adult life, you will see the story immediately. If you are a bit aware, you will see the story that you are repeating. For example, if your childhood you were wired in that love is unpredictable, the safety in your relationship today or the silence in your relationship is gonna just mean that there is a silence before the storm. And just because your subconscious mind believes that, that's what it's gonna create, right? So you're gonna be actually creating and recreating your own origin story. So whatever you believe, for example, I can tell you that in my childhood I deeply believed that love was conditional and love was not given freely, and love meant a lot of compromises. So there was a belief in me for a long time that I was not worthy of love because my father was not present when I needed him the most. Whether he was aware of that or not, that's a different story. That's not my story, that's his story. But my story is that I was not worthy of love because he left. So that's the story I was carrying my whole life until I realized that this is the story that I'm carrying around. And I was attracting emotionally unavailable partners. They would show up fully for some time and then they would disappear completely, emotionally unavailable. That was my story. Your origin story is your own, and you will find it by studying the patterns that are playing out in your adult life. So if you have the tendency to pull away from your partner, if you feel like, okay, this is too good to be true, maybe you have the avoidant tendency because you don't know how to receive that love, you don't know how to accept it, you never were modeled that, and that's why you pull away. If you are instead of the person who is chasing after a partner when they get a bit distance, maybe you are used to having this really warm and open relationship and the love was not deemed as conditional, but it was unconditional, but the other person doesn't know how to deal with that, you're gonna be going in that pattern, in that story. But your story is literally the origin from your childhood. So whatever you learned about yourself, whatever conclusion you made about yourself, what something meant about you, that's what's coming with you. So it took me a long time to understand that I don't have to prove my worth to anyone in order to be loved or to be accepted. I didn't have to do that because I started realizing that I am worthy of that. And just because I have this origin story where my father was not showing up in a way that I deserved to be showed up, that doesn't mean that I have to repeat it in my adult relationship. And I really started working on that and really started rewiring that and wiring my worth and wiring my capacity to even receive love. Because sometimes it will happen that someone really wants to give it, but I was not able to receive it because it was not in my template, it was not in my blueprint. Okay, so the origin story is really the story from your childhood that you are carrying with you. And how you're going to stop that origin story is by, first of all, find out what is your origin story. Find out what story you are carrying around in your adult relationships. And if you do not know, look at your patterns. Look at how you are behaving when things get triggering, or how you are behaving when people get too close to you, how you are behaving, how you are accepting love, how you are rejecting love, how you are behaving when something gets bad, when things get bad. How do you operate? What's your origin story? And then once you are aware of that, once you spot the pattern, you can start rewriting that, you can start choosing differently, and you can start working on that exact wound that you are carrying with you. Okay, so it's all about you. Your adult self is about protecting you. All of these patterns, all of these beliefs, all of these things are happening in order to protect you. Okay, so it's all to protect your young inner child, because they didn't know better, they didn't know different. But now you're adult, you can choose differently, and you can understand, okay, well, I know this part of me really needed protection back in the day because I didn't receive that love that I deserved. I didn't get it. But now I know I can give it to myself, and now I understand this person really wants to give it to me, and I'm stopping them from them. I'm protecting myself from danger that doesn't exist, so I can remove this shield and actually let them in, right? So that's the whole thing. You want to go back to the origin story and figure out what is holding you back from actually showing up for the other person and receiving and accepting that love, giving it back to them, and being in harmony. So now that we have that down, we want to go a little bit into what's happening and why is it so hard to distinguish what's good and what's bad. We have two doors, and we are standing here really stressing, not know which door it is. There is these two doors, and one of these doors feels very familiar. So this is the familiar door. This is a chain and a lock. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so chain and a lock on the door. This one is open. It's open wide. It's completely open, okay? So can enter. But the problem here is that this door feels very familiar. That's why we are so locked in, because it's something familiar, something we know, something that we are used to, something that is safe to our nervous system. On the other hand, this door is wide open, but we deem it too good. So this door is someone, it's a relationship with someone who we perceive as too good, because we don't know what's there. Our nervous system is not used to this. Our subconscious mind doesn't believe we deserve it. Our whole being is not used to this. We don't know what is behind that door. This door is pretty much locked because it's the familiar, safe thing. It could be something that is not too good for us, but it doesn't matter because it is familiar, right? So what we need to really understand and distinguish when it comes to the subconscious mind and nervous system, guys, the only thing that matters to those two aspects of us is if something feels familiar, if something feels safe. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter if it's too good, if it's too out there, if it's too illogical. It only matters if it's familiar, if it's safe. That's the only thing that matters to the nervous system and to the subconscious mind. The only two things. There is no logic to this. There is no arguing with this. It's just how this is wired. So if something is too good and it's not safe for us, it feels unsafe, it feels new, it feels dangerous, we don't know what it is, we are not used to it, it will be deemed as unsafe. And whatever is unsafe is very dangerous for the nervous system. The nervous system will brace itself to lock yourself out of it, to not proceed. The subconscious mind will get you out of it. It's a natural thing that we do as a human beings. That's why we need to be aware of that. And as soon as you see that something is too good to you, too good to be true, but you really know that this is a good thing to you, but your body braces itself from receiving that because you know the capacity is full. You need to expand your capacity to receive it and to get it. That doesn't mean that you don't deserve it. That doesn't mean that you are not worthy of it. That doesn't mean that other people can get it, but you are not one of them. That doesn't mean that you don't get to experience those things. Quite the opposite. You need to expand your capacity of the nervous system, and you need to rewire your beliefs so you understand, and you really, it's not even about the understanding, guys. You need to really wire in that you are deserving of that. In a way, you need to brainwash yourself to this extent. And I say this lightly, but I really mean it, because some of us were growing up with the most horrific beliefs about ourselves, because our parents didn't deal with their own stuff and they passed it all on to us, and they passed all those things to us where they didn't believe in themselves, and they passed it on to us. Stuff where they undermined themselves, they pass it on to us. Stuff where they didn't feel like they deserved the love because they chose the wrong partner for them, and then they had these regrets or whatever. They passed it and modeled it all to us. But that doesn't mean that you are a victim in this story, okay? Don't get me wrong. That doesn't matter. That's your origin story. And now you get to choose how you want your life to be, because you have the choice and you have the options and you have the possibility with all this information and all these tools to do that. Nothing is holding you back. You are not broken. You are not fault. You are not at the mercy of what you have been wired and received. You are quite the opposite. You are the divine creator and the player of your own game. Okay, I was talking in some other videos, if this is a video game, you get to create your own character and you get to upgrade, update. So if you want to imagine it in that way, that also works. So you get to choose how you're gonna be, who you allow in your life, and if what you are currently having in your life is not up to your standards, because you know deep down that you deserve better, even if your subconscious mind thinks otherwise, you just need to rewire those beliefs so those things can actually reach you and you get what you really deserve, because there is no cap, okay? As I was writing the jar there, the cap is imaginary and you can always open the cap. And there is so much more around, okay? You can open the cap and get out and stretch your capacity to a whole new, different world. When it comes to relationships, because now we are talking about relationships, it is possible. It is not in your head. It is not the fantasy. You get to experience that. You get to experience everything and anything that you set your mind to, and don't let anyone tell you that it's not possible for you, or that you had a messed up childhood, that you cannot do that, you are not deserving of that. That is complete nonsense, okay? You get to do that. You get to choose for yourself, and if you do that, if you choose to do that, it's going to be the most satisfying thing that you ever do in your life. Guys, I really mean it. You don't have to live out your origin story until the rest of your life. You really do not have to. You get to choose differently. You get to disappoint people. You don't have to do anything to please anyone. You don't owe nothing to anyone. You only owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to be the best version of yourself. You owe it to yourself to live in an alignment with who you are, what you deserve, and what you came here to do. You deserve to be your best possible self and find your person who is going to really see you for who you are, and who is going to really support you for who you are, who's going to love you for who you are, and who's going to expand your capacity together with you, because you get to have it, okay? You get to experience it. You came here for a reason, and that reason is not some randomness because your parents were having a boring evening and they created you. I don't care if they told you that you have been an accident or a mistake. You came here for a reason. Nothing in this universe happens accidentally. Everything is perfectly measured and calculated. And the fact that you are here, the fact that you are here at this point of this time, when we are going through this massive change and upgrade and evolution of the human consciousness, tells me that you came here for a big purpose and big reason. So if this is what's holding you back, that some childhood things are still messing with you, I really want you to sit down and think about how insignificant that is. I mean, it is significant in your story, but you get to rewrite that story. And I will shout this from the rooftops because that's the truth, and that's what I believe wholeheartedly. Now we want to be talking about how to actually deal with this, okay? All of this. So here is you. So you put your beautiful hand on your heart. And you remember who the F you are. You remember the essence of you. You remember the core of you. You remember who you are before anyone gave you any of those wirings, before anyone told you about who you should be, who you would be, who you're supposed to be, before you even understood anything about this world. You knew deep down who you are. And I want you to come back to that truth. And I want you to really sit down with yourself, hand on your heart, and remember that. Remind yourself of your brilliance. I don't care if you failed your exam. I don't care if you didn't make your driver's license. I don't care if someone was not behaving with respect to you. I don't care what happened. I don't care what's the origin story, okay? You don't have to care either. You came here with a very specific purpose. And your purpose is going to be revealed to you the moment you start letting yourself be who you are and working on those things and completely shatter those nonsense beliefs that are holding you back from actually understanding that and actually feeling that and living that. When it comes to relationships, after you've done that, of course, we are going back to you because it's all about you, yourself first. But now we are talking about relationships. The next time that you find yourself in those patterns, that you find yourself in those dynamics, that you find yourself sabotaging the good thing because you deserve the good thing, I want to remind you every time you start thinking this is too good to be true for me, I want you to do this, hand on your heart, and I want to remind yourself that you are deserving of every goodness in this world, including relationships and the person who you think is too good for you. So this is a wave, let's say. Maybe we should do it blue. So this is the wave. Okay, the wave is telling you to pull away. Okay, everything in you, your nervous system, your subconscious mind, your protection is gonna kick in. You start sabotaging yourself. You start thinking that I need to leave this relationship. I need to get myself out of it. I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy of it. You feel like pulling away. I want you to do this. Hand on your heart. And I want you to stay instead, okay? Stay with that feeling. Stay. And I'm not telling you this is gonna be very super easy. Quite the opposite. It's gonna be very, very hard. The discomfort that you are feeling when you are staying instead of running away or pulling away or doing all of those sabotage tactics that you are really familiar with and your nervous system is really familiar with. If you choose instead to stay, which is one of the hardest things you will do in those moments, you are in the discomfort. But just know that it's not the discomfort of staying. It's actually discomfort because you are growing. Okay? So there is a massive, massive growth happening. When you decide to stay instead of run away, when you decide to stay instead of pull away from that person, when you decide to stay instead of getting further away from them. When you decide to stay, there is a massive growth happening and it's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is a discomfort of actually growing. So you are now rewiring your capacity, you are stretching your capacity quite literally of your nervous system, and you are rewiring the belief that you are not worthy of it because you are staying rooted, you are staying on the same place, and you know who you are. You feel it in your heart, you connect to your heart, and you know who you are. you decide to stay when it's uncomfortable, that's how you're going to rewire those patterns. That's how you're going to stop those sabotages. That's how you're going to stop destroying the good thing that happens to you, because you start staying when everything in you tells you to run. And then you understand that the discomfort is actually the most beautiful thing that you can feel, because it's the discomfort of growing as a person, stretching your capacity, opening yourself up for things. Once you do that, you will understand, actually, it was not even that hard as I thought it was going to be. It was actually quite okay. And the next time is going to be easier. And the next time is going to be easier. You're going to get used to this growing pain of the stretching. And then you understand, all right, it's okay. It's possible. I survived that. I can do that. I can teach my nervous system. I can teach my subconscious to stay. I don't have to run away. There is nowhere to run. I can stay in this beautiful relationship, and I can actually stretch myself for this happiness. So just a question at the end of the video for you guys. Where in your relationship are you currently pulling away from something good for you? Where you are not accepting the good thing, where you are rejecting, where you are sabotaging it. I want you to really think about it and think about how you can next time, when it comes to that, how you can choose differently, how you could maybe try to stay a tiny bit longer than you would usually. And that's about it from me today. Thank you so much for being here as always. See you next time.